sometimes, like if the rain is falling, sometimes what they do, they ask us to go down to the house and pick you up. But they don't like us to go down by the house, okay? So that's why they do it that way, to make you walk back.
Nuclear, it heats water, the water can...
Yeah.
So this is part of the St. Nicholas Abbey tour. You get to ride a steam train. It'll take you down to the distillery where they make rum. And you can only get this rum here at this distillery. They don't sell it anywhere else on the island.
What it looks like back then. And the names on the carriages are the grandchildren of the current owner. Now we're currently standing passengers. This is considered the balcony. Once we've cleared the platform, feel free to come on the balcony. There's a balcony at the front and at the back of each carriage. We're just asking parents or guardians with small children not to hold them in your arms while on the balcony. It is one of two Jacobean-style mansions here in Barbados and one of three in the Western Hemisphere. There's another style mansion like this one in Hall in St. George in Barbados, and there's also one in Virginia called Bacon's Castle. And on your right-hand side, we're passing over 1 million gallons of fresh water. We have some tilapia fish in there, and biscuit sharks in there as well. So we're just over 400 acres of property, making St. Nicholas Abbey one of the oldest and largest surviving sugar plantations on the island. Now, do not be fooled by the name Abbey. This was never an abbey of any kind. It was always a sugar plantation. And as we're approaching on the left-hand side, we're going to see 2 acres of our sugarcane fields. Now, between the months of January to June each year, we harvest that sugarcane here in Barbados. And if you guys have heard about Crop Over Festival, it was given its name because all of our festivities officially start the end of June. So we don't turn that sugarcane here into sugar, we turn it into rum! Now this beautiful 400-acre property was bought by the Warren family in 2006, becoming one of the first Barbadians to own it. This is a huge achievement because most of the owners were from England. So if you guys have heard of Benedict Cumberbatch, the actor, who does roles like Doctor Strange and Sherlock Holmes, his family also owned this plantation as well in the mid-1700s. I remember the level fair I told you guys about. We're soon about to leave the parish of St. Peter and proceed to the parish of St. Andrew. Now on your right hand side you will see a red plant. We call it the Anata plant here in Barbados. It was also found in West Africa. It was used for food dye and face painting. This red plant we're about to pass is called the Anata plant. Now back here on the left hand side, this is what we call a cutting. And if you look directly onto the rock, you will see fossilized coral reef and green coral. It shows you that over millions of years ago, Barbados was under sea level. Now at this point on the island, we're about 750 feet above sea level. But not the highest point though, the highest point is Mount Hillaby at 1104 and our sister Mount Misery at 1093. And on your right hand side, this is what we call a sunken gully. You will see banana trees in there by needing to look above it. Can you see those 4 large royal palm trees standing tall? Now anytime you saw a royal palm tree in our history, that was an indication that a plantation was somewhere nearby. Now the wealth of the plantation was also depicted by the amount of royal palm trees that were planted as well. You may have noticed we have slowed up tremendously because we're currently on the steepest part of our gradients. This is 1 in 33, which is quite steep. Now it gives you a feel of how it was back then on the original railway that ran from 1881 until 1937. It ran on 25 miles of track, an hour and 20 minutes daily. The original railway was brought in by the sugar factories because they realized they could import their products like sugar and molasses more quickly than relying on donkey carts. So please be advised that this particular track we're on is a replica. It was only laid in 2018. The train line ended down the hill from us in Belle Plaine in St. Andrew. Now, there was a part of the original railway called the dreaded concept cutting in St. John, which was quite similar to this gradient we have here, where the trains struggled and stalled to get up the hill. It was so popular with weight on Sundays because the locals got to ride the train. They called it the Sunday excursion. It was 10 hours of a journey. Now, ladies and gentlemen, because the train stalled with so much weight, it couldn't get up the hill. So passengers in third class had to get off and push the train. Those in the middle had to get off back then and walk up the hill. Those in the front and first remained on board, but they had a very important role to play. They donated the alcohol to third for thanking us for pushing the train up the hill. So you can imagine that passengers wanted that third class ticket after realizing you could get alcohol at the end of the push. Now back here, ladies and gentlemen, on the right-hand side, we're approaching the 40-foot bridge, and if you take a look on the bridge, you're going to see the tracks indicating that soon the train will be going up that bridge, extending a line for extra 2 kilometers of track. We'll be taking you to the back of Barbados Wildlife Reserve, looping and coming back down in January 2025. So we're really excited, ladies and gentlemen, of this extension, because the construction of the bridge will finally give us the extension we need to take the train over the other side of the property. So we're soon approaching the next stop, which is Cherry Tree Hill. We're kindly asking our passengers to please remain on board until we come to that complete stop and their time brakes have been applied. You will now be exiting the carriages on the right-hand side onto the platform. I'll be looking for the volunteers to help us turn that locomotive around. Remember, the back will become the front will become the back, and middle will always remain the middle. Remember, we're up here for 20 minutes. We're going to open the gates. You get to see that beautiful view of the Scotland district. You also get a chance to see some lovely craft for sale as well. And is that the ice cream? Oh, okay. And ladies and gentlemen, so let me take this opportunity to welcome you to one of the most beautiful views on the island. We welcome you to Cherry Tree Hill.
So you guys can come all the way in. You can fill up the room. Oh, you guys come in. All right, everyone. So, welcome to the Great House. Now, despite the name, St. Nicholas, hours and hours trying to find the right seashells and thinking of the right design. They were lying, but their wives and sweethearts didn't even know that. This was made in 1936. Now, it's a pretty sophisticated piece of furniture. It has several features, so I'm just going to go through them one by one. First, if persons want to get into the chair, they can move the table to a side, and or they can move the arm. Once persons are secured inside, the table can be used to read a paper, or if they want to enjoy a meal, it can collapse. If they need a space for their beverages or their cigars, you have the side swivel. If you have or want additional room, the adjacent arm has the same function. For the book lovers, it has its own adjustable book stand and bookmark. So if you fall asleep, you never have to worry about losing your page. If you want to get some nighttime reading done, the chair comes with its own adjustable lamp. Right?
The toilet is an original Thomas Crapper. I tell you what, we've been so lucky with the weather. While we were in the house, it rained. And as we're leaving, it has stopped. Look at this massive, massive tree. The ones at the front entrance when we came in were planted in the 1700s.
Pick one that's eating and all of them are going to take.
That juice into sugarcane syrup because it sours very quickly. Now the juice itself can be used to make rum, but pretty much all distilleries turn it into something else because it's not really viable for commercial use. So we turn it rums that you'll all be trying on the tour, or at least that we provide you with the time. So the two rums are white rum and a 5-year rum. The white rum is the rum that comes straight out of distillation. You dilute it and then you bottle it. That's it. Now if you're familiar with rum and it's kind of golden color, it gets it not from distillation but from aging barrels. So right here in this building you have some of the barrels that we use. They come from Kentucky in the United States. They were used for bourbon. They made you age it for 25 years. It's still all the way up to the top, and 25 years later, there's hardly any rum left. So you don't eat that, just letting you know. Oh yeah, so alright, so we're gonna head over here to this one. Show you our standard rum bottle. So on these you have sandblasted the image of the Great House. Now all of these bottles have to first be sanitized. So you have the large sink at the end where that takes place. Right here on my right hand side is a pumping system. So right underneath us is a rum cellar where the rum barrels are rolled in. Of course, the system will pump the rum from the barrels into the bottles. If you actually look at some of the bottles, they have rum inside already. Yeah? Now, the bottles have to be sealed. Now, we have these stoppers with mahogany, but this is mahogany that's imported from overseas, right? It's not from any of the trees grown in Barbados. Now, the appropriate labels have to be administered. You actually see my colleague doing that right now. And then you have your finished product. So I hold in my hand a 5-year at 46% alcohol. Now just to show you the contrast, this is your white rum. Alright? So this is what rum looks like immediately out of distillation. We dilute it, so this is 40%, and this is what happens when we age it. Now, with our white rum, we make our various liqueurs. So you have some of them here on the table. You have a sorrel flirt, a pure passion, wildcat coffee, and a silk amaretto. Then the one in the center is a rum punch, which is not a liqueur. But they all will have less alcohol, below the 40% range, because of the different ingredients added in. So the liqueurs average around 30% alcohol. The rum punch is the lowest at 17%. Now, all of these rums, liqueurs, and gins are only sold here at St. Nicholas Abbey. You can't get them anywhere else in the world, so no pressure. Little pressure. Now, just to show you, this is our sugarcane syrup. This is what we use to make our rum. So when we crush sugarcane, you get the juice. You can use the juice to make rum. We convert the juice into this. We can store this year long. Now this on its own is a sweetener. You can use it to sweeten coffees, teas, ice creams, rums. It still has about 70% sugar left inside of it, right? Now if you kept boiling this, you would get your brown sugar. Now the sugar is really what you need for the fermentation process to occur. So brown sugar on its own, you can use that to make rum, right? But when you boil out the sugar, there's a residue that's left over. That's your molasses. So that's this. Now, most distilleries in the world still use molasses to make their rum. Historically, this was the major byproduct in rum making. But there's no real qualitative difference between them. You just need the sugars that are left within each byproduct, or the sugar itself. Right? Now, we have molasses cookies on sale if anyone's interested in getting some of these. All right, so There was a group here earlier, and I suspect that they are going into the film now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go straight to the rum tasting, and then if you want afterwards, you can watch the film. Everyone excited? Yes. I asked that question, and it's the most uninspired yes I've ever heard. Are you all excited for the rum?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Or if you're all non-alcoholics, I understand. It'd be weird to come here, but anyway. We're gonna head right through.
And where they still made sugar in the same way that it had been made for 300 years. Now, when my father got back to England, he had 10 reels of black and white Kodak film of the trip. And he took them to London and had them developed. And instead of doing what most people would have done, which was to show them to the family,
From that, this okay. Well then, small one just for keepsake. Would we actually stop? What did we do is stop operating?
Take your shoes off in somebody else's house. How terrible. Hey, how are you doing, Simon? How's life? Anything new? I know. Trouble with the kids.
These are companies
We met so many people here. Can you hold it? Trying to do this. Young. How old is he?
So these ones don't really come off to some. But I can translate.